Welcome back to another one of our spring preview interviews. Now joined by field hockey coach Nikki Parsley-Blocker. And Nikki, good to catch up with you. We spent some time with you doing a video streaming scrimmage back in the fall, and it was really good to catch up with the girls preparing for this spring season, which has been pushed back. You're typically a fall sport. What adjustments have you made, and how have the student athletes adjusted to those changes you've had to make as you prepare for the spring?
I think the biggest thing we had to do is just treat the fall like an off season, which wasn't too incredibly difficult just because we go through off seasons all the time. We just had two back to back. And it was a pretty big blessing. We didn't have anyone come down with COVID during our fall season. And so we had the whole team the entire fall, which was like obviously not normal. So we were really grateful for that time because we felt like we experienced a lot of growth. In a season that could have been completely otherwise for a lot of things outside of our control.
Recap the 2019 season real quick. 10-8, 5-2 in Big East play. Again, when we ask questions of student athletes and coaches, you move on really quick. But what do you take away from that, from some of the returning student athletes, of what you can build on from last time you were out there?
Yeah, so we finished 2019 with a pretty bitter taste in our mouth. First time since we joined the conference, we didn't make, the finals of the Big East, which was disappointing. And it was, kind of back to a season where we had, lost in overtime to Duke for the third straight year. We're pretty tired of saying things like that. I'd love to be talking to you, be like, yeah, we beat Duke in overtime, and things like that. So I think, you kind of can go one of two ways. Like it can fuel you for the next thing, which I think it absolutely has done for us. And what kind of was birthed out of that is a couple terms like close the gap. We throw around a lot, like how are we going to close the gap between other high performing programs and where we're at right now. And yeah, just originally that started with like grit and developing that sustained passion and perseverance towards a long-term goal, which was actually perfect for this time just because it ended up being a much longer term goal because the season got canceled in the fall. And it was neat. We were really able to implement and use our marble jar where we were tracking very specific, tangible, practical, individual moments, and kind of watched our grit grow and hopefully close the gap between, where we're at and where other programs. And the whole point was like going above and beyond. If we do what we've always done, we're going to get what we always have gotten. So it was a really special season, and I'm very excited to see how it plays out in a few weeks.
Nikki, I was talking to Kelly Finley and Lang Wiedemeyer, two fall sport coaches for the soccer programs, and getting the newcomers acclimated and having some extra time to do that. Did you find that beneficial for your new players coming in?
We definitely did. This is by far the strongest U.S. class we've ever had in program history. I feel very confident saying that. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Even if you're on the junior national team and you come in, there's just an element of getting adjusted to college life that has to happen. And it is tough when you're a fall sport because you see a lot more growth in between the fall and spring semester than you do right when they get here in the fall because there's so much stuff being thrown at them. So it's been great.
Kind of a squirrely question here. You're playing in the spring. Obviously, the sport will stay in the fall in 2021. So what's that like having actual two seasons in the same calendar year, I guess, if that makes any sense?
I have no idea. I'll let you know in like, I guess 12 months. I don't know. Yeah, I think it will pose some challenges, but it also will have a lot of benefits. We are really fortunate if there was ever a senior class for us to have this happen with, like this was it. It's a really strong class with Ashley Dykema and Jill, obviously a couple All-Americans, and just getting the opportunity to have them back for another fall. The leadership is so strong, and it's not just the All-Americans, but our team leadership council. Kendra Jones is on that, Lex Payone, Jody Conley, she would be one of the younger ones, Bethany Dykema, just a really, really strong group. So it's just a season of life I'm not personally taking for granted right now because I know how special it is every day I step on the field.
Joined by Nikki Parsley-Blocker, field hockey coach at Liberty. When you look at, you mentioned all of this talent, and this field hockey program has just been steeped in tradition since it was created. What has been the keys in your mind to sustaining that success?
I think first and foremost, like keeping Jesus at the center. We're not perfect at doing that, but like he's given us an incredible platform and we try to honor him first with what we're doing. And then I think most recently, mental side that we've really been focusing on is two things: winning the moment, and then this equation E plus R equals O, which is just event plus response equals your outcome. And the only thing that we're in control of in that equation totally is our response. And we want to be better at controlling our R factor than anyone else in the country. And we believe that if we can control all of those little moments, like we talked about at the beginning with the marble jar and just our mentality, and there's so many things that we can control, it's going to give us a chance of sustaining, success and then taking that next step and hopefully winning the Big East.
Again, you mentioned the girls a couple of minutes ago, a couple of them being All-Americans. And what responsibility do you think, regardless of how good a player is, but maybe a player that's been on the team for 3-4 years, and responsibility of showing the newcomers, hey, this is what we do here? And because that would be taxing for the coaches have to do that all the time, but you need leaders on your team that set that culture. Is that important with this program?
Yeah, I would say extremely important. We have a corny saying, but we like to be coach fed, but student athlete led. We try to have a really flat hierarchy. Like we don't want people waiting until their junior or senior year for them to lead. We talk a lot about taking care of the 15 feet around you. You're taking ownership over that. And it's a really hard thing to like break 18 to 22-year-olds out of, especially the young ones when they're coming in as freshmen. They come in and they think like, no, I have to like pay my dues. I'm like, that's not how we're trying to operate here. It's a challenge. It's like easy to say that we're, doing that. But one of the reasons we have our team leadership council and not captains, I don't want 3 senior captains because I need to be developing the younger ones now. So when the Jill Boltons and Ashley and Kendra and all those people leave, we've been doing this for several years now with the younger ones that they're ready to step into, the next role.
You just recently released your 2021 schedule. You start up February 13th at Davidson, and then you get right into Big East play. Very competitive conference. What's the prospects of the conference looking like here in 2021?
I'm a little bit interested just because, some people didn't return from teams with all this COVID, craziness. So there's an element for us, as great as we can be on paper, like you can't predict human performance on like you can't, even though I'm super excited about what we've been doing and trust what we've been doing. I think it's looking really, really solid for us. But again, we have to go out there and every single day at practice, just take care of what we can control and, let the results take care of themselves.
That's field hockey head coach Nikki Parsley-Blocker. Flames get on the schedule February 13th at Davidson. That's the season opener in Davidson, North Carolina. Nikki, appreciate the time. Go Flames, and have a great season, okay?
Yeah, thanks.